Hi, you guys. I'm going to stop the share screen here because I know that some of you guys are already here. Welcome to my broadcast tonight. So it's good to see you guys here. Jeff Reed is here. Dillygaff and Jolly Bridgeburner are the first ones to show up tonight. So it's nice to see you guys. All right. So I want to recap on some new information that I have found out about Bill Brockbrader and Meghan Walsh, and I want to give also a little bit of background on Don Shipley. I pulled up some videos here to share with you. First of all, the last show that I did, where I featured Eva Moore Brockbrader on Miles Johnston's show. Since then, right after that show, the video was taken down. Not taken down, it was put on private. So since that broadcast, Miles Johnston has chosen to put that show on private, but you can still see parts of that show on my channel. That's the last video that I did right now. So I'm like looking at like what Jeff Reed is saying. Glad to see you got the memo. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that happened. All right. And the most compelling thing about that particular interview was at the very end when Eva Moore Brockbrader says that to defend her husband. First of all, she doesn't say that her husband is a fugitive that's been featured on In Pursuit as being a unregistered sex offender. She refers to working with a woman named Penny Shepard, who has information about Meghan Walsh, adding her father being involved in a satanic occult, and Adam Walsh was beheaded because they were responsible for it, that her family was responsible for it. First of all, have you ever done that little exercise where you're with a group of people and you whisper something into somebody's ear, and then by the time it gets around the entire classroom or the group of people, the entire story has changed? This is kind of one of those situations, but at the same time, there is Meghan Walsh on her Twitter, and I'm not going to, I could show you her Twitter. You can just go see her Twitter if you want to. She is talking about some of this stuff. She is talking about, she's making references to her father being involved with the elite. There's pictures of her father with Bo Biden. Is that his name? Bo Biden? Was that his name? Yeah. You know, as being part of the people that are, trying to stop abuse of children and child trafficking and stuff like this. Her Twitter is quite interesting. Now I have, by the way, just to bring it up, Ed Opperman, she did an interview with Ed Opperman. And I did speak with Ed Opperman today, and that particular interview has not been published yet. He also made some references of it. Maybe CNN was going to pick it up or something like that, or that it might go into a mainstream arena. Now, I did ask Ed Opperman if he felt that if John Walsh was corrupt, if what she was saying was true. And according to him, he does feel that John Walsh is corrupt. I'm passing information. All right. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm trying to be objective about this, but I'm also wanting to give you information so that we can just have it out on the table and talk about it. Okay. Now, yeah, it is interesting. That's why I wanted to do this broadcast. Because I can't deny the fact that there is something there. Like it isn't a situation where Eva Moore just went and made stuff up completely. That there isn't something happening with Meghan Walsh. She has had her children taken away from her. She is saying, making tweets like, give me my kids back. This is not fair. She is concerned about them. But I think this is the problem. this is what I think the problem is. The people that are putting her on air and talking to her are QAnon people. And some of the people that are doing it are people like Michael Jaco, right? And David Zublik. And they are part of those people that are taking over those Asian cooking channels. They are the people that are perpetuating the pro-Trump movement as Trump is going to save the day. And my feeling about those people is that they are the problem with QAnon, right, is that QAnon took control of the information. And then QAnon has some disinfo. For example, children being underneath the Getty Museum. Yeah, I've said it. I don't believe it. I don't think there's any kids underneath the Getty Museum. And if you ask Stephen, where did he get that information from? He will tell you Nazi psychics. Or he will tell you psychics can see underneath the Getty. Now, I'm sorry, that doesn't hold water, Stephen. Oh, by the way, Stephen is not a doctor. All right. And I'm pretty sure maybe Stephen didn't ever be a contractor with the NSA or the CIA, because I'm kind of rambling off on something. I did have quite the conversation with Ed Opperman today through Facebook. Stephen claims that he was a contractor with the Ollie North people and sold his guns during the Iran-Contra. And that that is why he is a contractor with the NSA. Oliver North was never with the NSA. He is with the NCS, which is the national, I always forget it. So, okay, it has to do with the White House and national security. All right, that's a completely different program. He's not with the NSA. All right, but again, this is not about Stephen D. Kelly, but he's cropping up in all of this too, because there's a lot of people who associated themselves with QAnon, got themselves on the QAnon map, and they're not real. And yet, Meghan Walsh might actually know something. There could be something going on here. But if she's grabbed by this group that is being deceitful and not honest, then I think that her message is getting watered down. And that would give them an excuse to take your children away. Because QAnon is, on the domestic terrorist list. I'm sorry I said that right now. I should have just mouthed the words because the AI will pick it up. But that's a fact. It's on the FBI watch list. Do you think that what happened at the Capitol building? There is a tweet that it's not a tweet. It's actually a show that she's on that she talks about it. Oh, I didn't pull that one up. There's another QAnon-ish show that she's on where she says something like, well, we got to do something like what happened with the Capitol building, almost like as if she's pro-Capitol building situation. So I don't know. I'm just sharing these thoughts with you guys. QAnon with the Boogaloo boy stuff really confused a bunch of people with the false LARPers. Yes, there are false LARPers. All right. First of all, I want to just kind of show you guys a few things here. So I'm going to do a share screen because I did pull some stuff up to show. One, and again, what's interesting about Bill Brockbrader is that he is people from QAnon love him. Did I do that right? Where is my, okay, let me just double check. Okay, so I want to show how that, I'm going to scroll up here on this. So this is the original interview that Bill Brockbrader did with Carrie Cassidy. And it's 100 minutes long, but if you can see, the website says Our Great Awakening. If you look over here, you'll see take the red pill. You know what? Like all this stuff here, right? QAnon is associated with Carrie Cassidy. It's associated with with the UFO media. Either the UFO media is responsible for creating it, or they jumped onto it because it was going viral, and they're using it for their own clicks and their own money. That's what I think. All right. So I'm not going to show this, but I wanted to show you this just so that you could see the type of people that support Bill Brockbrader. Now, let me just specify again, if you don't know who Bill Brockbrader is, just so you can, oh no, where am I here? Just so you know, like, who he is. He came out on Carrie Cassidy's show as a Navy SEAL whistleblower working with secret ops. Basically talks about tomahawks and how he was part of a group that would intercept the tomahawks, kind of like they were kind of like drones to divert them to someplace else. Talks about how they would go to small villages and do damage. And then he goes into the 9/11 conspiracy, and then says that he worked with Area 51, etc. Don Shipley, whom I have pulled up here too as well. Let me find him here in a second. Don Shipley, I'm gonna get this paused for you guys. Is Stolen Valor is a guy who is a real Navy SEAL that busts people who are fake Navy SEALs. So Don Shipley got onto this guy too as well, and apparently worked with the show In Pursuit in exposing Bill Brockbrader. In between all of this, Don Shipley says that because during that broadcast with Carrie Cassidy, you see a lot of helicopters going. You can hear helicopters, and they're making it sound like the helicopters are around because what they're talking about is so important, and they're filming it in a mall. Well, Don Shipley points out that the mall was right near a landing area for helicopters. So that's why they had all the helicopters. Then they go into another part and they have this big old conversation. He does talk about how he explains it on Carrie Cassidy's show that the Navy was trying to frame him for sexual abuse, and that the girl was 16 and she wanted it, and it was consensual, and that he did some time. They said, like, he admitted to it so that they go, well, you have the option of doing this, or if you don't, if you refuse, then you can end up with more time and this and that. So he made a deal, admitted to doing what he did, but according to what he says on Carrie Cassidy's show, she was just 16. She was 16 and wanting it. And Carrie Cassidy's sitting there. I mean, like, I could put it in the link if you want to watch it. I'm sure you can find it again. I like, because this is not the main point I want to show you today. But he goes on about it, and Carrie Cassidy acts like, well, I don't know, what is this? What is the age that you're supposed to be to having sex with a minor? Like, she doesn't know what it is in California. Okay, let me tell you something. It's been 18 in California since 1970. So you would think that Carrie Cassidy would have some knowledge about what age of consent is. But on the show, she just, acts like, oh yeah, it's just fine. See, it's the hypocrisy of these people that bothers me. It bothers me that they can sit behind their cameras and run around and go, oh yeah, there's children underneath the Getty Museum, or there's so-and-so doing this and that, blah, 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 blah. But when somebody that they put on as a whistleblower, for their show, oh, forget about it. That's perfectly okay. It doesn't matter. Like, didn't Carrie Cassidy say that Richard Baldwin was a pedo too, right? To kind of minimize the fact that Captain Mark Richards is a secret space program whistleblower that gets money. Like, she's like, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure she did. So they're willing to just mudsling everybody else, but when it's in their own backyard, they're not really willing to deal with it. Well, the fact of the matter is, she wasn't 16 years old. It started when she was 11. She came forward at 15, maybe like by 16 they went to trial or whatever, and then he was sentenced, I think, to like 8 years or something like that, and only did 3. Well, on Carrie Cassidy's show, he was not really in prison. That was just a front, that they kept him working in the secret, T9 Navy SEALs, and that they made him sign some document like, oh, and you're going to need to register as a sex offender. That is not part of the law. See, the Adam Walsh law was implemented in 2006. He was arrested and convicted in 1997. So he says, well, I don't have to conform to that. Well, yeah, the Adam Walsh Act made it more national, but every state has its own registered sex offender. So it's not as black and white as he's making it sound. So I just want to reiterate that to you. But they want to save children. Yeah, they do. Hey, Michael Williams. Nice to see you. Charles Brockbrader really is a seal. He claps his hands every time someone throws him a fish. That's funny. You're funny, Charles. You're very funny. Okay, so Merry Christmas to everybody. That's coming. I've got I gotta make this a little bit more stable, my table. I'm in my new pad. This is my new apartment, guys. My apartment. Only I live here. I'm clapping like a seal. Woo! Okay. All right. So the one thing I want to show is that Don Shipley was featured on the news for what he does. So let's take a look at that real quick.
You don't have to be a military veteran to be bothered by the.
Okay, I don't know. I'm going to make sure that I put the volume on that. Hold on. I always do this. Did I do the volume? Because I want to make sure you guys hear it. Yeah. Okay, now it's the volume. Okay, here we go.
The thought of someone posing as a Navy SEAL.
But when you're a retired member of that elite fighting group, aggravation can lead to motivation and spending the rest of your life outing the fakes.
Fox 5 I-Team reporter Randy Travis tells us about one man who's doing just that. Randy?
That's right, Russ. Unfortunately, retired Senior Chief Petty Officer Don Shipley spent nearly 20 years as a Navy SEAL. Around 2008, he says he found a new calling in retirement, catching people who pretend to be a SEAL. And he says our state holds a dubious place of honor.
Georgia is the #1 state in this nation for imposters, SEAL imposters.
Why do we rate so high or maybe so low?
I really don't have any idea.
All Don Shipley knows is Georgians seem to show up more than any other fakes from the thousands of tips that pour into his home office in Maryland. People like Bob McDaniel of Cobb County.
May the 244th anniversary of our birthday only be the beginning here in America.
McDaniel walked into the Semper Fi Bar and Grill in Woodstock last month to celebrate the Navy's birthday, wearing the uniform of a Navy Rear Admiral. But the lies don't end there.
One of the challenges for me, I teach some of the most elite warriors on the planet.
McDaniel teaches self-defense classes around Metro Atlanta and also claims to be Special Forces, a member of the Army's Delta Force, and a Navy SEAL. But the military told us there's no record.
They love to claim to be Special Forces, right?
Of him being in the Navy. In fact, it shows he spent 6 years in the Marine Corps Reserve, never saw combat, and made it only to sergeant.
You flew jets in the Vietnam War,
I did.
and you also became a Navy SEAL.
I did.
Why are you lying about your military record, Bob?
I would never lie about my military record.
Well, actually, I want to introduce you to a real SEAL. Behind you is a man named Don Shipley. He'd like to talk to you.
Don? Admiral?
Why do you think it's your duty to out them?
They just do a terrible disservice to the military.
Shipley joined the Navy in 1978, eventually graduating from SEAL training in 1985. The elite unit, designed to fight on sea, air, or land, started during World War II. Shipley retired in 2003.
Everybody knows now what a Navy SEAL is. Not a lot of them know what a fake Navy SEAL is, but they're getting that word real quick.
He says after a fake Marine fooled him years ago, he decided to turn the tables. With the help of a private database of all SEAL graduates, Shipley
Okay, so you guys get the idea. I'm just wanting to show you a little bit of that, what his background is, and that he has been, and that wasn't the only newscast that featured him. Okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you guys to see. Yeah, ouch, that guy. Yeah, ouch. Isn't that embarrassing? To be outed. I actually subscribe to his channel, and I kind of like him. I like how he busts people for being phony. I don't know. I guess there's a lot of people that want to claim that they're a Navy SEAL and get all the benefits that Navy SEAls get. Okay, so another thing that I want to show you is there's another video that I want to pull up here just to show you why I think that Bill Brockbrader is actually guilty of what he's done. Okay, so there's another. This was somebody uploaded this onto their channel. It's Susie Woozy's channel, and this was uploaded in 2015, which according to, I believe, In Pursuit, the last place that he's been seen online is 2015. All right, so I'm going to do a screen share on that. Just let's hear his words, right? I mean, he talks about what he did, how it happened, and to be honest with you, it's disturbing to me. Okay, so let's show this.
Okay, everyone. I want to now delve into my trial and Don Shipley. You're going to find out that the two can't necessarily be separated, so that's why I'm going to talk about them both at the same time. To do that, we have.
So apparently, this Don Shipley thing has been going on between him and for a while. He was Don Shipley was in pursuit of exposing him over years. And Michael Jaco, who is a Navy SEAL that's part of the QAnon group that goes on Asian channels, that I guess they got on the dark web. I don't know. I found another one. That's now Michael Jaco is on an Asian gamer channel, is what I found him on. But again, Michael Jaco backs this guy as legitimate. Don Shipley says is disappointed in Michael Jaco for doing this because, according to him, there was no Team 9. He's not a real Navy SEAL. He was in the Navy, and he shows documentation that he had a dishonorable discharge.
I have to go back to my original trial, and I need to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. First of all, in my original video, I did everything that I could to not bring Janela in, my ex-wife's sister, my ex-sister-in-law, the person that I was court-martialed for molesting. I did everything I could to not bring her into it and to keep her out of it. And she got drug into it and did a lot on her own to participate in it. So what I want everybody to understand is I need to add...
Right. So basically, you get that? She brought a lot on her own to participate in it. So his argument is that, well, she wanted it, right?
A few details from above and beyond what I've already said in my videos. And I think everybody will kind of understand why it's necessarily important. That being said, I'm going to leave out every detail that doesn't need to be talked about. And I do that because Jenna, even though she's 33 years old, she has a husband and a family. And
I think she's in her 40s now, and she's also struggling with cancer.
And, you know, I want to protect that as best I can. I don't want her to be a part of this. I don't want her to get in the middle of it. It's going to be up to her. Now, with that being said, I am going to make a video of all the details and every detail that is out there. But it's not going to be published unless it needs to be to clear the record. If everybody's okay with the fact that, you know, this is as far as it goes, this is as far as it'll go. Okay, so well, I guess I have to start out kind of in the beginning and how it all started, because that's kind of where the confusion starts.
All right, here we go.
Since Don Shipley made a huge deal out of bringing the age that Jenna was when things started, I kind of want to like explain to everybody exactly what happened in that. In spring of '93, my wife and I were in town for her grandfather's funeral. And even though the record at my court-martial says something else, what really happened when Jenna was 12 and how this all started is much, much different. And I'm just going to kind of lay it out without too many details and let it sit on what it is. The way that the sexual molestation, quote unquote, started was me walking in on Jen and Lynn by accident, masturbating in our bed, in my bed. You know, it wasn't anything intended, wasn't a big deal. But you need to understand two things. Jenna's family is devout Mormon. And Mormons believe that masturbation is bad. It's horrible. And if you do it, you need to confess to the bishop and, you know, have, you know, some pretty awful things happen. And I had an incident when I was 12, when I got caught masturbating, that influenced what I wanted to, how I wanted to handle this whole thing. And so there was also, you know, some very quirky thing about the way she was doing it that I couldn't figure out. And then I did, but I'm not going to talk about it. You know, it's just a detail that doesn't need to be.
Yeah, we don't need to know.
Okay, So I accidentally walk in on her. It's obvious what's going on. She's mortified and scared because she doesn't want to have to tell her family and go talk to the bishop and go through all the crap. So I decided that I was just gonna, be the better person, and I told her it's
And take
no big deal,
advantage.
and everybody does it.
Okay.
Even though the church doesn't tell you that, that's the fact. Everybody does it. So, don't worry about it. And she asked a lot of questions, and I did my best to answer those questions. One of those questions, or one of those statements, I guess, was she kind of told me that she was, I was the object of, a good majority of her fantasy material that she used.
Oh God,
And
that's the part that gets me.
How do you respond to that, really?
Oh.
Okay, great.
Oh my God, okay.
You got to realize that, I went from being the skinny kind of dork that, married her sister to, with all the training, going from skinny dork to kind of, chest, shoulders, six-pack abs transformation. So I just,
a lot of these guys are total narcissists. I mean, that is such a narcissist thing to say. Oh, yeah, of course. You know what? Fact of the matter is that, first of all, it was her sister. It was his wife's sister. All right. If we're going to talk about people who have integrity, then their integrity starts with like their marriage and who they cheat. Even if, first of all, cheating, if you're married, you should be cheating anyways because you took a vow. Unless you have an open marriage or unless you have an arrangement with somebody. People have different arrangements. Adults have different arrangements. You're talking about a 12-year-old who is nowhere near any type of adult mentality. Now, when he was on Carrie Cassidy's show, he goes, yeah, I was 25 and she was 16. And, of course I was older, but she was 16. No, now we hear this stuff going on. How dare him talk about this? How dare him come out and say, oh, I caught her masturbating? I mean, and then, oh, she was thinking about him. Like, seriously, like this does not make him look innocent.
Kind of brushed it off and said, makes sense, no big deal. And that is where it started. So if everybody wants to know how it started, that's how it started.
Okay, and so does this make it better? Does this make it better? Because he caught her masturbating. Like, this doesn't make it better. I don't see how this exonerates him in any way, shape, or form. You do not take advantage of a 12-year-old. By the way, it's been determined that she was 11. She was their babysitter. It happened when she babysat for them. All right, so he's trying to say, well, because of this, because I was her fantasy, I needed to do that. How is that okay, guys? How is that okay? Okay, so now this whole thing is a bunch of excuses. It's a long video. I'll make sure that when I do, after I do this live stream, I will put all my sources. So if you want to look at it farther, but the real awful part is pretty much around here. So let's go to here.
A secret keeper. And they use him to keep the secrets of the special operations world. And he's very good at it. And that's what he does. And that's fine. Here. But I think people really need to pay attention that Don Shipley is just an attack dog. He doesn't have firsthand knowledge. The firsthand knowledge in my case actually kind of leans towards I'm saying something that's real, but in the end, it's all good. Because in the end, what really was going on, what I was really trying to accomplish, my operation was using Don Shipley as an asset to consume as much of the intelligence assets and resources as I could to get them focused on me, so they couldn't focus anywhere else. And understand that worked 10 times better than anybody could have ever imagined. Don Shipley got worked. And, you know, I'm okay with that. What he did helped what I was doing.
So basically what he's saying is Don Shipley is there to protect the, the reason why Don Shipley is doing this is because Don Shipley has to keep his Team 9 secret. The people can't know about it. You know, his excuse was when he was on Carrie Cassidy's show the first time. He says something like, well, you know, Team 6 was secret until they killed Osama bin Laden. So, you know, obviously Team 9 could be secret too until something comes out. So that's how he's justifying. How he's justifying his lies.
Operation out immensely. I mean, couldn't have gone better. And so, you know, I think what everybody needs to understand is what was really going on was me working Don Shipley to get what I wanted out of him. Now, I'm going to end this little segment of the video by saying, Janelyn.
Here we go.
I need you to understand something. I am doing this for the greater good. We have some serious problems in the world that nobody's dealing with, but me and my people. And us doing a good job means that your children and your grandchildren aren't going to have to deal with.
If you came in late, he's talking to the victim right now. This is what he's saying to the victim.
The mess that things are. Because currently, what's being left to the children and grandchildren of America right now is $18+ trillion of debt and a corporation system that controls government and turns us all into debt slaves. And I need you to understand that this is what I'm worried about. This is what I'm trying to do. I am asking you to exercise your choosing to stay out of this.
Oh.
Let me and mine do what we got to do to fix things. You got used the first time at the court-martial. You got used again at my trial. And you let something slip, consciously or unconsciously, that I know is the truth, and your family knows is the truth. And that the elephant in the living room is that an extended member of your family is a monster that has been protected by blaming me for everything that he did. I wish I would have known what was going on with you in the beginning. I wish I would have known what he was using against you in the beginning, but I didn't. And I will be infinitely sorry for that forever. But I am trying to atone.
No, you're not.
To give myself to a cause that is more important than any other thing in the history of humanity. And we turn this corner and nobody cares. So I'm asking you, I'm begging you, don't let them drag you into this again. This is the last you'll ever see of me. I am going to, document all the details, but those details will never, ever come out unless they have to. Anybody who tries to drag you in this, you give them a no comment, go on with your life, take care of your husband and your kids, and don't worry about it. Nobody's going to fault you. Everybody's going to understand why you made the decisions that you did. You were a kid, 16 years old, having to choose what you had to deal with. And that shouldn't have been put on you. And I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Stay out of this. Don't worry about this. And live your life. And I'll make you a deal. You do that. And we're going to be in the background creating a better world for your children and your grandchildren.
Right.
And that's all I can do. Now, Don Shipley.
Okay, so that's pretty much
all I've got to.
That's pretty much what he says to her. And, I'm sorry. That's zero accountability for what he's done to her. Zero accountability. And the whole thing, like as if it's up to her to back off so that he can do his goodwill for the world. Because he's definitely still working for special people, still doing things. I'm sorry, but that was just... It unvalidated what he did to her. And he gives zero accountability to what he's done. He was the adult in the room. Not the elephant, but the adult. And as a husband, a married person, an underage young woman, every summer that she went over there, he did that to her. No, you know what? He already did what he did. He got convicted. He's supposed to register as a sex offender no matter where he goes. He's required by law, and he's not doing it. All right? So you have even more going on, even more Brockbrader, going on Miles Johnston's show at some computer that's in a public place. So I guess I can't trace the IP address, right? And then she's bringing up something. She's not even giving the whole detail. She's going, she doesn't say that, Bill Brockbrader's been on In Pursuit on September 1st, that it aired, that he's being, the FBI is looking for him. He's an FBI fugitive. The court martial's looking for him. She says, he's working behind the scenes because John Walsh, he murdered his own son in a satanic occult. Ritual. That's what she's saying. Her husband, they're going into the Adam Walsh Act. No, what she's doing is she's paraphrasing things that are out there right now that still are not getting the correct light on it. It's being associated to QAnon. All the QAnon people are all over it. Penny Shepard's all over. Oh, we're going to get to Penny Shepard. We're going to get to Penny Shepard here because I have a few things that I want to show about Penny Shepard being on another show. We're gonna show that here for a moment. And by the way, this is a fair use. This is a transformative work. We are educating the public and critiquing the videos we are sharing. This is covered by fair use, and it is allowable by law. So I'm showing you guys these different videos. Okay, I'm curious to see what some of you guys said. Charles, well, I think that I need to be disinfected, steam cleaned, and scrubbed down with wire brush after that. I I know it just makes you it makes me like I watch it and I just it's cringe. It's cringeworthy. Rebecca Turner, he is hiding out in the woods someplace, the coward. Yeah, that was in 2015. There's several tent videos that he talks about things. Let's see. I'm just looking at some of your comments. When he nods his head like that, he's trying to convince you. Watch what he says when he shakes his head no. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it reeks. It reeks. There's no way about it. No, he did what he did. And what gets me the most is that Carrie Cassidy's pushing him. These people push him. They back it as if it's real. And hey, Revolution Radio, boy, I got an earful of stuff from you guys about your involvement with CP, with Weisenberg. Right, yeah, I know. I was talking to Opperman again. Matter of fact, I'm going to go in and just highlight a few things that I want you guys to know. Because remember when I found those website with those web domains? Remember that? Remember that whole the bashing I got when I talked about it, and I said, you guys are associated this Heisenberg person that was arrested for CP. Revolution Radio, webmaster arrested. Oh, Bill Brockbrader. Yeah, you guys all know. It's a Revolution Radio connection, right? Eva Moore was a host. Yeah, that whole network's been reeking of this stuff. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. All right. Okay. Here we go. Just because. Here, where is it? Let me pull it up. Okay, Weisenberg. Okay, here's the thing. The website or the file that got Heisenberg or Weisenberg arrested, that was the webmaster for Revolution Radio, the file was named Kelly. Kelly, as in Stephen D. Kelly. All right, I'm not saying there's an association, but it's kind of interesting. By the way, Stephen D. Kelly is still up, clips for sale for fartdom.com. It's not taken down yet. It's got his phone number, it's got everything on it. So he does have a pornography connection. All right. He says that there was like 10 people from the TV radio chat connected to child CP, okay, that were hanging out in the chat. Also, Kat Jenkins was living with the guy who had it, and there is she drove him in the getaway. All right, and there's some other things too, but I'm gonna keep that silent. Yeah, you know what? I know somebody's going to probably give this to Stephen. There's no kids underneath the Getty, guys. I don't think so. It doesn't, and I'll tell you something. Kelly became part of the QAnon map, right? Kelly was the QAnon guy. Stephen D. Kelly became QAnon guy. And oh yeah, I figured I did do a screenshot of exactly what Oliver North was involved with. Hold on, let me pull that up on my phone too. National Security Council, not the NSA. National Security Council staff member during the Iran-Contra affair, not the NSA. Not the NSA, Stephen. I don't even think you're a contractor. Oh, but you know what? He's going to tell people that and you're not a doctor either. So anybody who's calling him Dr. Kelly, absolutely ridiculous. I don't even think he has a degree. Oh, I know. People are going to go, oh, Terry, you were involved with him. You're just bitter. No, I'm not involved with him because something didn't add up. I was sick of it. Who are these people? Who are these people that are running around being pedo hunters that are fake NSA people, fake CIA people, fakers, fake Navy SEALs? This media has been infiltrated with it. Oh, I'm bitter. I've gone to the dark side. Well, if telling the truth, this is the truth. You want the truth? Can you handle the truth? You can't handle the truth. No, this is the truth. This is the truth. I'm questioning these people right now. Oh yeah, I've been on their shows. I've been on Revolution Radio. I've been in the mix, and I'm out of the mix. I'm out of it. And I feel a duty to expose you. Okay. All right. So, hey, Collie Armstrong. Nice to meet. Welcome. All right. CNN doesn't even cover the Maxwell trial. I seriously doubt that will be Air Operan's interview. Okay. Slim chance of that happening. I maybe perceived that wrong. I thought he said something about CNN. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see what comes out. I mean, she did tweet that she did do an interview with Ed Opperman, and so there you have it. But I do believe what he said about Revolution Radio. I do think he's right about that. There is something there. There's something off about the association, and there's too many of them associated. Too many of them that are like this, associated with that network. Why are there so many people like that? I have to question it. All right, so I want to go to another show. One more point I'm going to make before I go from here. All right. Just make sure I put the volume on that. This particular, now I guess there's a second part that maybe Meghan Walsh is on, but the way it's advertised, did I do that right? The way that it's advertised, it makes me wonder if that's in fact, I just don't like the way Penny Shepard came on. I'm going to point out what I think is wrong with Penny Shepard talking about this. Okay, so the full show is someplace else, but we get to hear Penny Shepard's discussion and point. And I'm going to show that. See if I can get it to go a little faster.
On a broader scale, exposing criminality on the part of Child Protective Services and many other things, including politicians and all that that goes with it. It's really a very, very bad situation.
Okay, so that's that was what him talking about Meghan Walsh. All right, so I'm just kind of recapping, but that's basically what that's about.
Coming up a little bit later in the broadcast, we'll be talking with Chris Wilson about achieving, believe it or not, the fourth dimension, how to get to the
now
fourth.
This guy is featured. This guy goes up on those Asian cooking channels with Michael Jaco and Simon Parks. All right, so just to show you that he's part of that mix.
Fourth dimension. And then Janine Linehan will join us in the final hour of the program today. She's continuing to expose some predators of children on her end as well. So we got a lot to cover today. We're going to bring our guests on in just a moment, but first, real quickly, My Digital Money has something new that they've launched. It's called a cash account. It's finally here. You guys have been hearing about it, but now it's here. Finally, a crypto cash trading platform with top-notch. The first of the two presentations that you sent me queued up, the one about the Meghan Walsh in the White House. So is she going to be joining us in a couple of moments, I'm assuming?
Yes, I sent her. Oh, that's me. Is that Megan? Yes, I sent her the link in. So I'm presuming that she's been doing a lot of shows. So
yeah, and I've seen her on some of the. I think you guys were on Stu Peters. Was she on the Stu Peters?
She wasn't on Stu. That was Allie.
Okay.
But she was on Jaco. She was on Michael Jaco.
Michael Jaco show. Yes.
And she just did Opperman.
Very good. Very good. Well, listen, we need to get this spread out as wide as possible.
She mentioned Opperman. All right. She was on Opperman. But when was this done? I'm trying to find the date on this. Okay, December 10th. Oh, shoot. Damn it. Did I just... No, I just messed it up. Oh, here it is. Damn it. I went backwards. Shoot. Okay. Let me stop it. That's my fault. That's my fault. Damn it. Hold on. Let me find it again. Why is this? Of course not. Of course it has to be. All right, hold on. I'm gonna find. I know where it's at. I know where I have it. Just let me find it again. Let me just pull this up really quick. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do that. Just a minute. Wait. Just let me grab it. Here it is. All right. I got it again. And then I'll try to, I'll move it up ahead. So where we get to about right here. Okay, here we go. Redo. Sorry. Zublik is a lizard. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. One more time. There we go. All right. Wait. Sorry, technical difficulties, double checking. Because, you know, I'm obsessive. Okay, here we go. Now we're on. Let's do this.
Let's bring in our guest, Penny Shepard. Penny, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. I've got the first of the two presentations that you sent me queued up, the one about the Meghan Walsh in the White House. So is she going to be joining us in a couple of moments, I'm assuming?
Yes, I sent her. Oh, that's me. Is that Megan? Yes, I sent her the link in. So I'm presuming that she's been doing a lot of shows. So
yeah, and I've seen her on some of the. I think you guys were on Stu Peters. Was she on the Stu Peters?
She wasn't on Stu. That was Allie.
Okay.
But she was on Jaco. She was on Michael Jaco.
Michael Jaco show. Yes.
And she just did Opperman.
Very good. Very good. Well, listen, we need to get this spread out as wide as possible. So I'm glad that she's appearing on all of these shows. This is very important. We're one platform here, and we're sticking with it all the way. We're doing it on a weekly basis, but as many as she can get into for as many appearances as possible, I think that's great because we've got to help get those kids back. We do. I'm not resting until we do. And by the way, folks, please contribute to her Give, Send, Go campaign. Give, Send,
I don't think they're going to come back if she stays associated with these guys, because that's their reason to have the kids, I think.
And go.com/Meghan Walsh and help her to, she needs legal counsel. She needs any help she can get. If you want to contribute, you're right to me.
And when I say reason, I say excuse. All right.
David at darkoutpost.com, and we will forward it to Penny and Meghan, and they can make the decisions as to who they want to contact to help them out. All right. So Meghan visited the White House. Let's cue this up if we could. This is
if you could play the video. The very beginning is where it's one of the days. Now, I from listening to it, it seemed like they had met before, and she's also wearing a different colored dress, and one of them she's wearing like a red dress.
All right, well, we'll start. Here is the first screen.
And she says that, and in none of these examples can I see a change in the color of the dress in what she shows.
March 12th and 13th, 1984, President Reagan's photo ops. There appears to be, who's in this photograph besides President Reagan?
That's a video.
Oh, that is a video. All right.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I want to bring up about the Reagan administration is I believe that the Franklin cover-up and the taking of the young boys over to some politicians, it was during the Reagan administration. So that is a fact.
Let's see if see, I do a lot of PowerPoint presentations, and normally
click on the bottom. No, keep going.
Okay.
It's on the bottom of the picture. It's a video.
Oh, well, very good. Here we go. All right, very good. Here we go.
Now, Meghan was born. She was the first child born after the death of Adam Walsh. Yeah, this is all like very exciting, right? I'm just going to keep talking. One of the points that I want to make up about this, and I'm hoping that I can show an example of this. Penny Shepard basically does a post hoc argument, meaning that she will show a bunch of different examples of stuff and make associations of things that she connects really broad dots and makes it as if it is something. And my thought is that it's almost like having her come on and show all this stuff before you even get Meghan a chance to speak, because it's about her life and what she's going through. It discredits her. Penny Shepard and her explanation and how she's drawing all these conclusions really don't make any real sense. And that is what she does. It's an illogical fallacy. And the illogical fallacy in the post hoc argument is not really displaying any facts. It's just showing things. And as it goes on, I want you to think about this in that context. If I'm wrong, then say something. You can say something in the chat. If you disagree with me, that's fine. But I don't really see where she actually made any type of valid point during her entire time on this particular broadcast.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not.
That's Meghan in the White House. She's about, I think, 2 years old because this is 1984, so it's in March. She's with Senator Hawkins, which is that woman that kind of looks like Nancy Reagan. Because when I first looked at her,
I was just going to say that she looked like a young Nancy Reagan in a blue dress.
Right. So I have what I've done in this particular PowerPoint is again the correlations, and so I examine the people that are around John and Meghan as she's growing up. So one of the people that he interviewed, because he knows Biden, and this actually is going to pertain to you as well. He knows Biden, and so I said John Walsh knows Reagan, George H.W. Bush, who was his vice.
Okay, and look, she's mentioning Biden. He knows Biden, he knows these people. Just because people know somebody doesn't necessarily mean that they're guilty of something. I mean, wait, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, okay, let's keep going.
Vice president, and George then became president. John knows Bill and Hillary Clinton and Obama, whose VP was Biden, who is now president. So we fast forward from that March 1984 video to March 6th, 2010, and it was the 1000th episode of America's Most Wanted. So he interviewed Obama. And in that interview, which we don't actually need to have it, but you can find it on the web, he spoke to Obama about his friendship with Biden. Okay, so now this brings us to something that happened.
What does that mean? Like how is that? Okay, fine. Well, Biden was his vice president. Like, just think about this. Like, what because they're associated, then they're all this. It's not a strong argument.
Most recently, we fast forward to November of 2021, sometime after the Travis Scott's Astroworld. Mm-hmm. A tweet is made about a similar situation which occurred in 1991 in New York. It was an exhibition at City College that resulted in a crowd surge that killed 9 people. I was given this information from another person about Gene Deal, who was actually doing security that day, and he did a video on it. So he said Puffy Combs, LL Cool J, and Mike Tyson were featured as stars as related in the video made by Gene Deal, who was security at the event. So it was actually a tweet that I made, but I didn't need to put it in the PowerPoint. According to Deal, Sean Diddy made last-minute adjustments to the security detail and minimized the number of guards controlling the outside. He recalled the event being oversold and a massive crowd causing a stampede once Mike Tyson and LL Cool J arrived. As a result of the stampede, 9 people died and dozens more were injured, and it also led to Diddy's firing from Uptown Records. So then, after I do this tweet, Meghan does a tweet, and she responds to the tweet, the information that LL Cool J, she responds to that information of the tweet regarding the City College, stating that LL Cool J fondled her chest when she was 16. Wow. And then she also repeated that on your show.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Okay, so I'm not disputing. I mean, if that's what she says, then that's probably what happened. But you see how she is pulling this all in together. Okay, so there was this incident that happened, and there was a stampede at a show, and they knocked down the security guards. So what is she implicating here on that? I mean, again, like, are you saying that it was like a ritual killing? I mean, where are we supposed to fill in the blanks? Is she just making a connection by saying, oh, there's LL Cool J, and then there's, what was it, Biden or something like that? There was another celebration with all these people. So because they're all associated, they're all guilty. Is like, that is a post hoc argument. That is not. She's really not. She's just, connecting dots as if it has a point.
Right. So now we know that John knows the president and knows the vice president, and he knows Biden. So December 2nd, the Washington Post, Stephen Nelson writes that President Biden lights up the national Christmas tree with LL Cool J. So, Dave, apparently, I think the White House is watching the Dark Outpost.
No, I believe that's true. Wow, that's incredible. And it's I mean,
come
this
on.
is heinous.
Like I believe that the White House is watching the Dark Outpost because of what she just said. No.
That this man was fondling a 16-year-old girl's chest. I mean, this is beyond the pale to me. And
yes, Meghan had said that she wanted to go to one of his concerts, and that when he went to the concert, he fondled her chest, and she said her dad at the time was fit to be tied. But you know, that is the story. So what I'm saying to you is that people need to actually take note when they are whistleblowers and they're telling the truth. You know, we're thinking no one's listening, but this is an evident message that someone is most assuredly listening, because that's a rather an obscure pick to light the Christmas tree.
Yeah, a very obscure pick, especially since really when you think about it,
I don't get how any of this is really significant in anything. I really don't.
We haven't really heard a whole heck of a lot about LL Cool J in the last year or so. You know, I mean, I know that who he is. You know, everybody knows who he is. But you know, you've heard of, you know Travis Scott. You know, P Diddy and all, or whatever name he's going by this week, Puff Daddy, P Diddy, whatever it is. But LL Cool J has been kind of so to invite him to the White House Christmas tree lighting is kind of interesting.
Right. He seems like he's just taking a back seat. You don't hear a lot about him. And so, again, you know, most assuredly that is a message that we actually are listened to when we think we're not, but perhaps not by the people we want to be listened to, but we are being listened to. So then we go back to 1984 and adorable Meghan Jane Walsh at the White House. And there she is, little toddler, just cute as can be.
Oh, yeah. The pretty dress she has on there, too.
Right. And then the next one is one that she had showed on your show. So I thought I'd put it in here because we need to analyze the people that they surrounded Meghan with. So then we have adorable Meghan Jane Walsh and Drew Barrymore, Brevet and John Walsh. And this is 9/18/84. So let's go into who is Drew Barrymore. Now, Drew Barrymore was a child star of E.T.
See where she goes with this? Okay. Because of the fact that there's a photo up of Meghan Walsh with Drew Barrymore, and now we're going to go into the Steven Spielberg conspiracy, which I'm not saying, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, right? I mean, it's out there. I mean, there's, you know, a lot of people have done videos on it, but there's not any real proof that any of this ever took place. Let's just be real about this. So she's going on a conspiracy theory. She's drawing a conclusion between a photo op with Drew Barrymore to associate what might have happened to Heather O'Rourke, but we really don't know for sure. So she's going on things that really are just speculation and spinning the story. That's a post hoc argument.
Which premiered June 11th, 1982. So this is 84, so it's 2 years after that. It was directed by Steven Spielberg, who also cast Heather O'Rourke in Poltergeist. I've written a chapter on Heather O'Rourke because I believe that my family was involved in her actual planned murder. She was she was born in Santee. So my blog.
Steven Spielberg is also, was he not a pedophile too? I mean, there's rumors that he molested Heather O'Rourke. I don't know if that's,
and
they're saying something that they don't really know. They're agreeing with each other about something that is, look, this could be considered slander. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that Steven Spielberg is innocent, but the way they're doing about it is wrong.
More than likely, probably Drew, but you know, Drew might not remember it, but Drew loves Steven. Okay.
Yeah.
So Drew and Heather were both up for the part in Poltergeist. So Steven was involved in both of those, but he chose to direct E.T. Now, Drew was 9 years old in 1984. Meghan was 2. So they're playing together.
Okay,
so now,
what?
Drew Barrymore started acting at 11 months. At 7, she was a film star pouring Baileys over her ice cream. 7.
Really?
At 11, she develops a drinking problem. She already had the drinking problem when she was 5. She went on Johnny Carson's show.
What does this have to do with Meghan Walsh? What? Because they took a photo op together? Now, see, she's supporting her theory because of like, what abuse maybe Drew Barrymore went through, or her alcoholism when she was a teenager, how she got emancipated from her parents. But it still doesn't have anything to do with Meghan Walsh's story. The fact that they're allowing Penny Shepard to come on before Meghan Walsh, like I said, it's like they're watering it down. They're watering her information down, and they're making it look like a bunch of conspiracy theories. Is it on purpose?
And acted like a little adult and took out the spacer in her teeth. She had a thing that fixed the spaces in her teeth. And she took it out and stuck it on his desk. She was very, very mature, like a little programmed human, adult at like 5 when she's on Johnny Carson. 5 or 6 she was. At 12, she is a drug addict. At 13, she cuts her wrist and is hospitalized. At 14, she's legally divorced from her parents. Now, why are we bringing these people up?
Why?
Well, Drew Barrymore's parents were friends of John and Reve. Drew Barrymore was a violent alcoholic.
Because they were friends with John and Reve, which are Meghan Walsh's parents. That's why she's bringing it up, because that, I guess, to her is a way of saying that John Walsh is guilty of something, that John Walsh is involved with the liberal left, because it's not just the liberal left, but it goes in with being red pilled, right? All of that. That's why is she saying anything? No, I don't think she really. What is this? And why is there so much time spent on it? I'm gonna let it go a little bit more.
Mother and manager Jade, who was born, and this is interesting, in a displaced people's camp in Germany to Hungarian World War II refugees. And they said that she was a wild child with no concept of parental responsibilities. These are the people that they are hanging out with. When Drew was 9, she was seen playing with Meghan when she was 9. Her parents divorced. Her mother took her to Studio 54, where she was introduced to drugs and encouraged to dance with famous young men.
And what were the ages of these young men?
They were adults. They were at Studio 54.
Yeah, right.
She got in because of her mom, right?
I'm just trying to reiterate this for my viewers to see that a 9-year-old girl is being hooked up with adult men. Okay.
And drinking and doing drugs.
So let's skip.
So from the age of 8,
let's go.
He set it up because he was away and he was sleeping with everybody, and it's in the depositions that were taken by Monahan and by Bill Collins. The one with Bill Collins stipulated that yes, he slept with everything. He was smoking pot. He was snorting coke, and so was Reve. So this was the lifestyle that they lived, and these were their friends, which this has not changed. This lifestyle has not changed. It's just become a little bit more covert.
Wait, do you believe her? I mean, because Meghan's not talking. It's her talking right now. And I'll tell you, it goes on for the whole entire show.
In her book about her child abuse, her own abuse, did she name the person or persons that abused her? In other words, was she abused by this estranged brother that was allegedly accused of abuse?
Quite possibly. I didn't read the book. I just found this information the other day. But yes, quite possibly. And I don't know what happened there when my mom took me.
No.
I can't remember.
Wow.
He goes.
There were pictures.
I'm gonna stop it here because it's. I don't want to blur. I don't want to blur. It's kind of long and drawn out. All right, so I just want to show you that that's pretty much the whole thing. That I guess like you have to go be a subscriber to see the Meghan Walsh interview. If you guys find it online from him where you actually hear her be interviewed, please let me know. Gosh, you know what? Let me pull up one more thing of an actual interview that she gives because I want to show you like her own words. In this other interview, she does not say anything about like what she's tweeting. She basically talks about how her kids were taken away and, talks about a few things, but she doesn't say that her dad did any occult rituals or anything like that. But I find it bothers me that that a whole hour is spent on Penny Shepard, like just making all these claims. Yeah, maybe Drew Barrymore might have been abused in that way. But you know what? Maybe, but we don't hear Drew Barrymore coming out and talking about that. I think that we have to be really careful about what they say. Like when I talk about Revolution Radio and I say, okay, the webmaster was arrested for CP, that's a fact. If I say, well, Ed Opperman gave me this, has this and this research, and gave me this information. Well, there is a certain amount of credibility to Ed Opperman. A lot of people may disagree with me, but he is a private investigator. Like he is still like kind of held to some sort of, knowledge about stuff. I know that there might be people that, okay, so Veronica Barrera says, yeah, I listened to that interview. It's a lot of accusations. It's a lot of accusations. When the person themselves comes out, like, for example, in Janelyn, when she said that, came forward and said that she was, molested by Brockbrader, right? That's a victim that came out. It went to court. It happened. He was convicted of the crime. He was dishonorably discharged from the Navy. Those are real evidence. Now, maybe Eva Moore might go on Miles Johnson's show and try to make some excuse that, he's a victim. They're after him. They're after him because because they're gonna show the corruption of John Walsh. Yeah, John Walsh. He obviously has some sort of power. I'm not saying that he's not guilty. I'm not saying that he's guilty either. It is his daughter talking about him. I mean that means that it's the daughter saying it, right? But right here we didn't get to see the daughter. We didn't get to see her words. We can see what she tweets, but Penny Shepard stepped in and spoke on her behalf. Like as if Penny Shepard needed to come in and give an entire backstory of accusations and conspiracies without really proving or showing the real evidence of that. And as people that watch this media, we should not accept that. We should realize that that's actually really happening, that this is a post hoc argument, that they are not really giving real facts. She's got a PowerPoint presentation. Look, most of us already know. I see that Stephen Cambion just went on right now. Most of us already know about Drew Barrymore. Most of us already know the conspiracy of Steven Spielberg. Most of us are already familiar with this stuff. Why did we have to go through that? Like, what was the point of watching her with Reagan and everything? Look, just show the snapshot. Look, there's Reagan, there's this, there's that, blah, blah, blah. But if you're going to go through and show stuff, you got to come up with facts. Penny Shepard also says that the TV show Stranger Things, 11, the character 11 is based on her. That character is really her. Well, you know what? That character, people could argue that they were that character. Stranger Things is really about Montauk. It really is. As a matter of fact, I just finished up taking my screenplay writing class, and the original script had Montauk in the title. It's based on that. People do movies because there is a conspiracy theory, or it is true, but just because like you see a character in a film doesn't mean that they stole your life and that that's all about you. I'm not really particularly buying that. You might identify with it. You might go, yeah, I was a Montauk person. I'm an MK Ultra person. I come from elitist family. I'm MK Ultra. I believe that MK Ultra is true. I believe that there's things that do happen in families, but we have to be very careful about just assuming things with celebrities, with politicians that might not be true. Not everybody is polluted. Not everybody in Hollywood is evil. It just it just isn't. There's various people around, acting or musicians or politicians. There are still some good people out there, and that's what bothers me about this particular media. Okay, so I'm gonna find the other one because I think we need to hear her voice. We need to hear. Wait, let me find it. Shoot. Let me go on. Where did I find that video at? Just give me a moment. Shoot. Where is it? Of course, it's gonna make me wait for it. Okay. Where did it go? Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. I might have to do another show and listen to Meghan, but let me see. Just give me a second. No, this one. Click here. Okay, there's a GoFundMe that she does. Darn it. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to find it. Anyway, I might, let's see. Wait. I'm just going to check one more thing because I know I have it somewhere. If I can find it in here, I can send it over to the other thing because it's just being really slow on my stuff. YouTube. Okay, wait. I think I posted, here it is. Okay, so let me send this to my email. I'm going to email this to myself just really quick. Right. Okay, and then I'm going to send this to my other email. Okay. All right, that's going to come in here in a second. And then we can listen to a little bit of the Meghan Walsh interview. So if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please do and subscribe. Just throwing that out there. I'd like to get at least to 1,000 so I can do a super chat too, like everybody else. And This is my second channel. I did lose my first one, but that's okay. I don't mind starting over again. I like it because I feel fresh and it's good to dump the old stuff and cherry pick what you want to have out there, because I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. That's all right. Okay, so I'm gonna I listened to that interview. A lot of okay, that was an old comment. Okay, so I'm going to go to Meghan Walsh for a second. Again, this is, you're going to notice that it's got the QAnon signature to it. Okay, let me just make sure that I've got the right volume on that. Okay. All right, here we go.
Champagne, and paper planes too. Yeah. Rostrum records in this bitch.
Welcome to the We Have More Than We Know podcast with your host, Michael Ray.
Last night during the TMCS live stream, a good friend of tonight's guest reached out to one of our local defense team members, indicating they wanted our help to get the word out about a very important case that will be live via Zoom tomorrow morning at 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. She is the daughter of the former host of America's Most Wanted and current host of In Pursuit with John Walsh, and the current case with DCF, which is the CPS located in Florida. I have alongside with me Bryn sitting shotgun, and as well, obviously, the Meghan Walsh. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thank you for being here with us.
So to start it off, I guess just a little bit of backstory with where your story starts off. I guess tell us a little bit more about your roots.
Oh, those roots. Yes. Well, most of the country is very familiar with my father, John Walsh, of course. And that stemmed from the subsequent murder of my brother, Adam Walsh, in Hollywood, Florida in 1981. His kidnapping and murder brought a lot of awareness and attention to this actually happening in our country and being a possibility for us to have to worry about. So, I'd have to say from there, of course, he got great exposure. He started lobbying for legislation for victims and children's rights. That's why we have them here in America today. And from there, he was given the opportunity from.
Okay, so there the dress looks red, and in the other show it looked blue. So maybe that's where they're getting the red-blue dress.
Obviously, Fox Network, Rupert Murdoch, all of that to do America's Most Wanted, this show that they had an idea to do and were wanting to do based off of a show that was currently airing in the UK at the time called Crime Watch UK. So from there, my father accepted the offer, and he began to host the television show America's Most Wanted. He's had quite a career, since then, as anyone can look into in politics and in law enforcement, as well as the media and more. So, of course, we also created the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, as the legislative entity, if you will, to cover all of this. So, we've had quite an interesting life, and it's been quite an interesting upbringing. He now is, as mentioned, Michael, as you mentioned, the current host of the Discovery Channel show In Pursuit with John Walsh, with my brother Callahan co-hosting. And so, we've done wonderful work as a family. But as we all are realizing in today's world, we all have stuff. And especially when you are in the spotlight and brought up in the spotlight, and especially based off of, what kind of prompted that being such a traumatic experience and happening situation, if you will.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at, would kind of lead into, what's currently going on. And
So now you have, which is really bizarre, but obviously part of the story. Now you've got your father, John Walsh, essentially in pursuit of your children.
Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I say this with a heavy heart, and I've always honored and always will honor my mother and father. And, perhaps that's part of where, how I got into this situation to begin with. But that is a broader issue that, our country does face and humanity faces in terms of, wealth versus poverty or upbringing, and these kinds of things. So, there's things that come along with growing up in an elite family. And, we kind of see, again, I've always honored my parents. So,
different upbringing.
Yeah, different upbringing. And something that a lot of people are starting to find out about. A lot more people are coming out about it. If people are familiar with the Free Britney movement, or Allison Stoner has recently come out speaking on the toddler to train wreck pipeline. And that's a very, very big issue and situation
very
that
real
kind of,
thing.
hits. Yes, it's very real to me. Thank you, Michael. And then also, people have heard Paris Hilton, and then of course Kanye West. So, these are similar situations that could be, applicable to my current situation.
And then you have
Exactly.
these courts that are intervening, right, in a unconventional way and trying to essentially take the direction of your life and change it forever, and almost give you no real chance at fighting back without
Absolutely.
getting the word out there.
Absolutely. I think that we all are talking about the people, and the people need to stand up, and we're all holding, signs, and we're storming capitals and things. I would never, but, people have, and I think that that's saying something that's very important for where we're at right now in the world.
That's where I want to stop it right there, because she says people storming capitals. Although, doesn't she kind of diss it a little bit? Like, well, I'm not saying, whatever, but she's putting that all into one thing. Well, we know QAnon stormed the Capitol. So, if in this particular interview, she never says the reason why her father was able to take the children away from her. I'm going to let it play a little bit more. Just so that you guys can get like a feel for it. Again, it'll be one of those things that I include in this video so you can research it more. But she's well-spoken. She doesn't sound like a loon to me. She throughout the interview, she still seems to be loving towards her family. She basically wants her kids back. But she also doesn't divulge why they took the children. I have communicated with some people. Communicated. I'm not going to say their name, but I communicated with someone who apparently, I don't know, maybe has spoken to Meghan Walsh as well, or is in connection with Penny Shepard. She said it was like a marijuana charge. Again, those are things that I don't know if CPS really takes your children away because you're using marijuana. I don't know, maybe in front of them, it's not right. It's kind of a gray area, but marijuana really doesn't really have the stigma that it did. If the kids are in bed and mommy and daddy go to the garage and, smoke marijuana, or if they, if she has a medical marijuana card, there's a big gray area in that. I suspect, and I don't know for sure, but my concern is that she has gone to these types of shows, made statements like this, that fingers her as being a QAnon person. And because QAnon is on the FBI list for being domestic, right? And because the Capitol building storming did take place, anybody that, for example, doesn't want to take the jab is automatically pigeonholed into a QAnon situation. I think that that's the purpose of QAnon, that QAnon was basically created to hold all that information underneath one banner, so that if anybody is talking about things that may be true about elite people or their practices or deception of certain politicians, etc., then they will be associated with being a crazy QAnon person, and maybe that would be a reason for, I don't know, go to prison without having a trial under the NDAA Act or bill, right? Like you would end up having to, like, these are the things, these are the bad part about what QAnon is, the Great Awakening, being red-pilled. I really hope that in the future, if that Meghan will be able to get her message out away from these people, away from people that are, overtaking Asian and Indian cooking channels to get their message out there, away from people that are convicted felons themselves, as in Bill Brockbrader, or even more, using this particular dialogue as a reason that her husband is innocent. That's why I want to do this show right now. And I'm following up on my last video, is because when you listen to her voice, when you listen to her speak, you get a different feeling about what's going on. It doesn't seem disjointed. Okay, so let's listen a little bit more. We'll go a little bit more.
And, that was my only chance. I am a believer in God. I'm a woman of God. And I do know that we need to watch him work. And people have been speaking out, and it has been coming to light. So I do believe that through this and the nature of it, if you do look into, again, these kinds of constructs in Hollywood and in society, that you'll see that it is pretty much by design, if you will,
right,
to get to this point. So, or what it's appearing to be, sadly.
Exactly. Well, and I think, when I was reviewing some of your case, it seemed as though part of, what they're using against you is your own voice, your own, almost speaking out, some of the coalitions you're part of, some of the thoughts and ideals that you have, they're using those against
some of the coalitions that she's a part of. See,
you.
Absolutely.
In an effort to try to silence you and take your children. So,
Absolutely.
I mean,
because what happened at the Capitol building, actually, if you're associated with that, right? They can go, oh, see?
I don't even know how that must feel. So, I mean, what does that say to you about our courts?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, you start off learning things that you never knew, and might be mortifying or terrifying, or just, wow, people need to know about this, and you really want to empower the people. I know that I started with Save Our Children, in all of this COVID, and found that it was equated and just automatically dismissed by this huge uprising of Q, with all due respect, and I hated how that was really manipulated, and I watched that happen. And always being a supporter of law enforcement and our government, and industry as well, just to start learning about these things, and then find that by informing people or realizing or trying to heal from it, that then you would become, I guess, what I hate all these cliche terms these days, but essentially
enemy
targeted,
of the state.
or I'm sorry. Yeah.
enemy
Yeah.
of the state.
Yeah. Essentially.
100%.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're getting the word out there. You're trying to get the word out there, and I mean, you're all but impossible to find information online, which is obviously coincidentally probably part of all this. But we want to get as much support, and we want to try to bring up as much attention as we can to this case and to the situation, because this is something that affects millions of people.
Absolutely, Michael. I really thank you guys for, reaching out, and it was very unexpected, and giving this opportunity. And as I said before, I am a woman of God, and by design, I've arrived at this place by design of God and by design of the industry, and here on Earth. And I really think to that I was put in this place to really be shown that by design of the industry and of my family structure, I was meant to not have a voice in this. And I was meant to, and put in a place to not be able to afford counsel. They've sent animal control to my home on random complaints since which is on my live on my Facebook page. I've also recorded all of the interactions with the law enforcement, the local law enforcement, and kind of, as a law-abiding citizen and never having a criminal record, there are no criminal charges here. It's been very wild, I will say, to experience, not witness, to experience. You cannot know what you have not experienced. And, I can be doing the bridge walks and I can be talking about it and researching to help people. But, I never truly realized, until it hit home, the true essence of Save Our Children, and, where that really is. We've got Epstein, we've got all this stuff that everyone talks about, and they know will go on and on and on forever. But really, we're ignoring the thousands or, whatever crazy number of families, loving families and parents that have lost their children to this process. And from what I've experienced in the last week, there is no chance.
That's right, because you were notified of this case on, like, they took your children last Thursday, I think you told me.
Yep, I was notified. The entire proceeding, the summons was first served on April Fools, guys.
Yeah.
And the whole thing somehow gets through the system in like less, it has really been a month, a little over a month. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it's been
notice that said, that I just need to write a written response. So.
Okay, so when was this broadcast? Let's find out here. Do we have a date on this? So this is like shortly after her children were taken. I don't know. I'm going to try to find. I can't seem to find it right now. Do you guys see it? 7 months ago. So this recording happened 7 months ago. And I listened to the whole recording.
So, and now after that, in the last week, they hit me with, different things. The hearings, they would call me, 10 minutes before a hearing on the phone. No written anything, no signed anything, with a Zoom link.
Gotcha,
and
basically trying to catch you up, catch you slipping.
Yeah. And then it was one thing after another. They weren't clear in the courts and in the hearings. And then I went to go leave for the rest of the day thinking that I had continuance until tomorrow. And now they're saying, no, the judge explicitly told you that they were coming to get your kids. And when we went to go leave, because I wasn't aware of that, I thought we'd actually, gotten a continuance and had managed the situation. I went to go leave to carry on my day, and my partner took his backpack with his computer in it. And we were leaving the house with the kids to go to my cousins locally and to run errands. And all of a sudden they, local unmarked, detectives pulled up and blocked us in and said that we were fleeing. And now the reports, say that kind of stuff, that we were fleeing. They didn't open the bag, but yet they say we had a bag packed. And they offered me a home study. I have that on video as well on live on my Facebook.
Okay,
of her
so
saying,
I'm not going to play the whole show, but I wanted to give you guys a flavor of and really right now this is the only interview I can find on her. Now I guess Michael Jacobs out there, so I'll look up. I'll research Michael Jacobs' interview and we'll do this again because this is kind of ongoing. So I've said a lot today in this broadcast, and I've said things that I wasn't expecting that I would actually really talk about. Part of it is because of talking a little bit with Ed Opperman, and then having the Revolution Radio stuff come up, and the stuff with Stephen. And I maybe seemed a little emotional about that because there is something that is connected, that I've been connected to him and to being on Truth Cat Radio and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's a whole nother topic, but that's a little bit in there too. But I did bring it up because I'm mainly criticizing the media. It's like, well, when does the media have a watchdog on it? And so I don't like the way certain people handle information and give out information. And they use that information to their own benefit. For example, even more Brockbrader, equating what's going on with Meghan Walsh and what she's talking about and what the reference is, and using that as an excuse for her husband's innocence, and not even really giving the whole story. That part I find to be covert. I guess that's the word I like. I guess that's the best word I can come up with right now. Now I showed you Bill Brockbrader, and his argument is all over the place. In his own testimony about what took place. That's earlier on in this broadcast. From one of the videos that he did while he was in the tent. I also showed you how Carrie Cassidy's interview of him is upheld on QAnon sites. So people that follow QAnon believe in Bill Brockbrader. And then Don Shipley, right, who is a retired Navy SEAL, who has a show, who basically is all about outing Navy SEALs. His excuse is that, Don Shipley's coming after him because, Don Shipley has to protect the non-disclosure of Team 9, the Navy SEAL that he belonged to. And so he's serving that purpose. And so it's a whole workaround of trying to make him look like he's credible. What did I bring that up to? I wouldn't mind interviewing Meghan Walsh. I wouldn't mind, actually having a conversation with her, and I might pursue that. Now I want to make mention of Penny Shepard again. I did have a bad experience with Penny Shepard. I'm telling you my own testimony. Penny Shepard was talking to me back in 2019 when I was on Truth Cat Radio, when I was talking about things without really double checking my sources. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was talking about stuff, but I think that that if you're going to talk about this topic, you have to do it. You have to do more due diligence with it. Double check your facts. You can't just go on and like what she was doing and make a post hoc argument and go, well, because this person's associated with this person, associated with this person, and blah, 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 then they're all guilty of something. That's just like connecting the dots that don't really exist. Like you have to still stick to certain types of facts. Now, obviously, something is going on with Meghan Walsh. Obviously, she is tweeting things that are quite interesting, where she, from the inside, is taking her own personal story and putting it out there. That is noteworthy. No matter how you break that down, to me, that's noteworthy. And so I wanted to do this broadcast just so I can kind of clear up what I think is like murky and not. on the level, and then what I think actually might be the truth. I don't want to sit and do a show like I did the last time and go, oh, well, Eva Moore, said this about blank, 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 and Meghan Walsh, blank, 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 because it was so blown out of proportion. Like again, when I started the show out, I talked about, if you do a little exercise where you say a piece of information, you whisper in somebody's ear, and you watch it go from the next person, the next person, the next person. Well, by the time it gets down to the last person that heard the story, it gets completely stretched out of proportion. And when it's stretched out of proportion, it does no service to whatever truth is in that information. I personally think that, now you could argue, oh, well, John Walsh has it out for Bill Brockbrader because he's associated with blank, blank, blank. But how do you equate somebody who's guilty of being a pedo, basically, convicted, guilty of it, supposed to register as a sex offender? How do you believe that person to be a person who's going to go after all the other pedos in the world and be a justice warrior? Like, that's the part I don't buy. Like, don't take that and make that be a Band-Aid on what you've done. And what the deception, this media, the reason why I get riled up about Revolution Radio and stuff like that, because they do have something in their closet, because they did have associations, because they do have people that are connected to this person and that person. That is a provable thing. We did have an arrest on Revolution Radio. It did happen. All right. There are things that taken place on that channel. And I can tell you right now, I can't really verify Stephen D. Kelly. I'm being honest with you. I have never really seen any really substantial proof that there are children underneath the Getty Museum. I don't see it. I'm telling you what I believe to be the truth. I'm not saying this because, oh, I'm like some sort of dark agent and, blank, 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 and I'm trying to throw a monkey wrench and everything. No. I'm trying to be accountable for what may be the real truth. That's all. And when it comes to Penny Shepard and my personal experience with her, I talked to her for a while, and then all of a sudden one day I get this message from her on Skype. She blocks me as everything. She tells me that she researched some pedo ring associated with La Puente, California, where he is, and acts like I'm involved in it. She shuts me out, and she doesn't give me any way to talk back or explain things or say, I don't know anything about this. What are you talking about? I was just guilty, and she cut me off. And because she exercised that kind of irrational behavior, makes me not trust her, makes me think that she's not willing to listen to anybody else, or allow somebody to defend themselves, or explain, or I don't even know what she's talking about. But because of the fact that I had a show on his network and I was involved with him at that time, that I was guilty of something that may or may not be true. I don't really believe that he's involved in something in La Puente. Show me some facts, Penny Shepard. Show me some facts when you accuse people of things and then cut them off. And that's my problem with Penny Shepard. And I'll tell you what I really think about it. That really happened to me between Penny, dispute it. Dispute what you did. Right? That's why I don't really care for Penny Shepard. Because she's not thorough with stuff. You got to give people a chance. You got to give people a chance to talk about something. Like, what are you talking about? And just assume it to be true, and then not communicate with you anymore. And now she was on the other show, and she's making all these connections and this and that, blah, 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 these loose connections. She should be moved aside. Let Meghan Walsh talk. Let Meghan Walsh talk someplace, on a show that isn't associated with QAnon. So that's my thought on everything. Maybe she can't legally talk about why they were taken. That's true. Maybe she can't. Maybe she can't talk about it. Oh, and Bodega. Australia laws just relaxed on non-people this morning. They can now go shopping and use gyms. Wow, that's good news. Thank you for giving us the Australian report here. So that was a nice piece of information to share. Susie Fraser, hi. Hi to you. All right, just to give you an update, I am on my Christmas break. I'm going to spend a lot of time catching up on a lot of my media here and start up my podcast on Anchor again. And then I've got ideas for next year, for my next semester. I am a journalism, media, and film major right now. And if you want to support my channel or what I'm doing right now, you can. I do accept donations on PayPal at hollywoodhemcruise@gmail.com, and I also am on Venmo at Terry -Joyce at Terry TERE-Joyce JOICE. So you can find me on Venmo too. But I really do appreciate you guys being here while I'm doing a show, and I appreciate your feedback in the chat. And I hope you found some of this information valuable today to contemplate. Until then, I will say good night and God bless.